Well, this design here is at quite an early stage of development, but even then one ought to look at the layout arrangements just to see how the design is taking shape. If we look at the layout tab labeled presentation, you can see that there's a floating viewport frame off to the left with a scale of 1 to 50, and some images are being arranged to illustrate the species being used and so on the sheet. I don't have access to those, but what I notice is that there is a title block down on the right hand side. Now if I select the title block, you should be able to see that individual items in that title block are simply pieces of text. It's not a gCADPlus block, but it should be. And what we'd like to do is to turn that into a symbol, if you like, or a block that we can use in lots of other work. And the simplest way to do that is just to select everything in that title, and it's a legend or a title, depends on your definition of the term, and I'll copy it to the clipboard. What I'll then do is start a brand new drawing, and I'll right click and paste from the clipboard, and I'll put that at coordinate x0, y0, and so in it goes. I'll right click and go to drafting settings and just set my bold step at 2 and my X and Y at 1. I'll turn the grid on, and as we zoom in now you can see where we are at. It's always a good idea with a block that you're going to use in lots of other drawings to check it thoroughly. And what I want to know is, even though I said put that information, those entities making up the title block in at 0, 0, is it in fact there? So L for line 0, 0 and enter. And you may be able to see that the bottom left of the block's not quite on 0, 0. Well, now that I'm in a separate drawing, I'll take a little bit of time to tidy up the title block and just arrange text in a little more organised way. You can see that street address, client and so on, even though I've got a grid running here, things are not lining up perhaps the way I would like. So what we'll do is pick and use some of the specialised modify tools. So we've got an align text object. So we want, say, this text, that piece of text, that piece of text. We can take snap off while we're doing it. This, 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 and I think even that, that, and that, and that. And we'll hit the enter key and we'll say left and just put a single point like so. Now all that text lines up. I forgot to line the date up, but you might in fact want date across there and roughly in the middle. So the title block is now looking a little neater. I'd be inclined perhaps to move that one up under that piece of text there, and I'm moderately happy with that as a layout, but you'll see I need a slightly different spacing there. It's a little bit too tight on the right. But before I worry too much about that, I just want to check, pitching that text there, its text height, 2.55. Now, drafting standards in most countries would say, well, that should be a whole number, so it should be 2.5. So now that's 2.5 millimeters high. Let's unselect all, and now let's use the match properties tool. We know we've got that text, the 2.5, we'd want that 2.5, this one 2.5, so they now all match. We would need to change the width of our box just a little. So here's its elevation and width. That's a polyline again, so we need to explode it, and then we can pick this individual line here. Because ortho's on, we can move it across so that it balances quite nicely, and then all we need to do is to extend those 4 lines across. So modify and extend. This is the boundary. Let's bring that line, and these 2 lines across across. So we now have a missed one, didn't I? That one there, bring that across. We now have quite a nice looking block, although now the more I look at it, we'd bring that one down to here, and we'll copy that from there to there. That sets off the heading rather nicely. You could leave the extending little bits just for a dramatic effect, but now we've got the catch line of the design business up here, and then the designer and designer address and so on. So I think one could perhaps play with placing just to make sure that all of the text, we know it all lines up on the left, but me being fussy wants the gap between individual pieces of text to be the same. So I think that's enough for the moment, and what I'm going to do is to turn that drawing into a block so I can bring it back into that other drawing and position it the way I want. I had forgotten to check the height of some of the smaller text, so let's do that now. Let's pick this one, 1.8. So most drafting standards will say text on your drawing sheets 2.5. The next height down would be 1.8. So let's make that 1.8. So we normally go 7.0, 5.0, 3.5. This one here, which we've set at 2.5 and then down to 1.8. So we need to modify and match the properties. This one's the correct height, so we can match that one, that one, that one, that, and that, and that, and that. Now, our title block is looking a lot better. We still might want to move these around just a little. Ortho's still on, so that'll go up there, and like so. And this one can go up. And what else do I need to do as I step back? That's looking reasonably nice. So now I'll go File and Save, and I'll save that drawing as an independent drawing. I'll just make sure I have no blocks that have been carried across, and it's clean of blocks. Layers should be clean. We've got a couple here, a couple of extra layers. I can check whether there's anything on those layers by turning off our current layer, and I don't want to keep it on, and we'll go OK. Aha, so all that text is on those other layers. So what I'm going to do is grab it and move that back onto layer 0, and now when I turn layer 0 on, you can see these do not have any entities on them, and we can safely delete them. So we delete those, zoom extents, make sure layer 0 is on, and everything comes back. Zoom extents again. We're ready now. Take the grid off and ortho off. Whoops, ortho off, and even line weight can go off at this stage. So we simply save that. That's our block, which we can use in lots and lots of drawings. We may want to play with colour later on, but for the moment, all of the text fits the drawing standard height, sits in it's all lined up nicely, so we can just stamp this in each and every layout sheet that we ever create from this point on. The new title block's been saved, so now we'll try it in this drawing. So it's blocks. I've called that Les Herbes title block, inserted into this drawing, and in it goes. And we can remove the old one, which consists of lots of individual entities, and we can erase it. Now we're dealing with a single entity. We can pick it and explode it, zoom in here, and edit the contents of the field client to change, and street address and so on, and date. So that block can be used over and over and over again in lots and lots of new jobs.